Hi, my name is Father Frederick and I live in Seoul, South Korea, and I like watching and talking about movies. 제가 한국에 살기 있기 때문에 한국어를 조금 섞어서 얘기해 볼게요. 대부분 영어로 말하겠지만 놀라지 마세요. 여러분이 이해하도록 항상 자막 있을 거예요. The movie I want to talk to you about today is Pixar Studios' newest movie, Soul. Heads up though, because there will be spoilers in this video. Spoiler 경고. We're immediately immersed into the character of Joe, who I kind of identified with because Joe is my same age. He's trying to make the dreams of his life come true, and he realizes sometimes that it's really hard to make your dreams come true. Joe suddenly gets the news that he can finally become part of a jazz band, which is his dream in life. Joe is overjoyed at this news and he starts walking down the street, talking to people on the phone, not really paying attention to where he's going. He almost gets smashed by bricks. He almost steps on a banana peel. He almost gets hit by cars. He almost steps on nails. He gets attacked by dogs. A motorcycle almost hits him. And then he falls into a manhole and the screen goes blank. 전 이 장면을 보고 잠깐만, 지금 조가 죽은 거야? 라는 생각을 했어요. After Joe falls down the manhole, we see him in his soul form, and he's placed on this sort of cosmic escalator that is slowly bringing him towards this great big light. It kind of looks like the sun. And as he's moving towards this light, he becomes terrified, and he starts to realize that he has died, and he was not ready. And he's so scared of death at this point that he starts to run in the opposite direction. He runs into all sorts of different people speaking different languages. There's a lady at one point who was obviously taken by surprise. She suddenly wakes up in her soul form and she says in Korean, "Where did my pants go?"
뭐야, 내 바지 어디 갔어?
Some don't know what's happening, some don't care.
I'm not done. Run! Why aren't you running?
I don't know.
What's wrong with you people?
Death happens to everyone, whether you're ready or not. After introducing us to this idea of death and how each person needs to confront it, the movie introduces to us kind of three metaphysical places. We have the great beyond, the great before, and the zone. I really liked how they represented the great beyond as this great ball of light. I also like the fact that they never really show what is beyond the great beyond, because honestly, no one really knows. The way this movie portrays the great beyond actually reminded me of a Bible passage of St. Paul when he writes the Corinthians. He says, "Eye has not seen nor ear heard what God has ready for those who love him." 우리는 사고가 어떤지 상상할 수조차 없어요. At the same time though, it can be something so bright and so great that we can look forward to.
Been waiting a long time for this.
Then the movie introduces us to the great before. Joe, the main character, is so terrified by the great beyond that he runs on this wall and he kind of breaks through some sort of metaphysical barrier and he starts to fall. And as he's falling, the animation is beautiful. It reminded me a lot of 2001 A Space Odyssey. I wouldn't be surprised if the animators were inspired by that movie to make this sequence where Joe is falling into the great before. When Joe lands in the great before, he starts to learn about what this place is, and suddenly he is put in a mentoring program where he has to be a mentor for a soul that hasn't been born yet. As Joe is trying to mentor this soul, he sees past episodes of his own life and he starts to see, how did I live? What was the meaning of my life? What have I done with my life?
My life was meaningless.
It really seems that Joe never really took the time to ask those questions. We too can go to this metaphysical place of the great before when we take time in our life to ask those questions. 삶의 의미는 무엇일까요? 나는 어디에서 왔고 어디로 갈 것이며 삶의 목적을 무엇일까요? 내 삶의 목적은 무엇일까? Finally, we're introduced to this metaphysical place that they call the zone. This was my favorite.
What? is this place?
You know how when you humans are really into something and it feels like you're in another place? Feels like you're in the zone, right?
Yeah?
Well, this is the zone. It's the space between the physical and spiritual.
I really liked this idea because it's something that I've experienced in my own life many times. When I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and I enjoy doing it and I'm doing it with a lot of love and with everything that I have, it is true that I lose track of time. Sometimes it can be reading a really good book or watching a really good movie or praying or talking to a friend. In the zone as well, though, we're introduced to other characters that are lost souls.
What is that?
I like how they were represented here, how they were drawn, because the souls that are in the zone in a positive way, you can still see their features as a person. But when a soul becomes lost, he becomes this almost shapeless, monster-like creature. Sometimes life can be kind of a heaven on earth, but it can also be a hell on earth. And we make that for ourselves by the decisions that we make. There are moments when we truly are making the right decisions and we really get into what we're doing and we do it with a lot of love. In those moments, it's very much like a heaven on earth. Other times, though, we make the wrong decisions and we can become obsessed, addicted to certain things, and that's when life truly becomes sad and kind of becomes a hell on earth. Finally, the movie actually takes a really bold step, and not only does it ask us to ask the questions about the purpose and meaning of life, it actually gives an answer to what the purpose and meaning of life is. When Joe falls into the Great Before, he's assigned to be the mentor of soul number 22. And Soul 22 has to find his spark in life. As Joe is trying to help Soul number 22 find his spark, they try all sorts of different things.
Meh. 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 Meh.
Joe also keeps insisting that his own spark is to play the piano. He was born to play the piano. After a series of complicated events, Joe finally gets back into his own body, and he has the chance to play the piano in a band like he's always dreamed. This is the purpose of his life. This is what he thought he was born to do. And he plays in the band, he plays the piano.
What's wrong, Teach?
It's just, I've been waiting on this day for my entire life. I thought I'd feel different.
It becomes clear that one of the messages of the movie is that doing things is not the spark. 뭔가를 하는 행동은 우리를 행복하게 할 수는 있어요. 가끔은 우리를 집중 상태에 들어가게 할 수도 있죠. 하지만 그쵸, 무언가에 모두 하는 것은 삶의 목적이 아니에요. Life's purpose is found more on the level of being a certain way. In the Bible, we find the story of when the Pharisees go to ask Jesus, "Teacher, tell us what is the greatest of all the commandments?" Jesus answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. These are the two greatest commandments." I actually think that the movie gives a very similar answer. There's a key moment when 22, who's in the body of Joe at this moment, sits in front of the jazz club and suddenly takes a moment to kind of think about everything that's happened. And in that moment, the wind starts to blow and leaves start to move around, and a seed from the tree falls down and falls right into 22's hand. He started to see life as a gift that kind of falls into our hand, right? Like that leaf did into his own hand. He starts to see every experience and moment that we have as a gift. Loving the Lord your God with your whole heart, your whole soul, means seeing everything as a gift from God, as this seed from heaven that falls into our hand. Through the experiences that Joe has with 22, he also realizes that his relationships with other people is really important as well. and he repairs his relationship with his mother. He also realizes that his relationship with his students was deeper than he thought. He also realizes that there are some relationships that he never even got started because he didn't have enough interest to ask them.
How come we never talked about your life before?
You never asked, but I'm glad you did this time.
After both Joe and 22 learn these two lessons of being thankful for life's experiences and seeing life's experience as a gift, and then also seeing my relationships with other people as very important, 22 is now ready to start living. And Joe is no longer afraid of death, and he's ready to go into the great beyond. 오늘도 제 영상을 시청해 주셔서 감사해요. 영화 소울에 대한 제 생각이 재미있으셨길 바라요. 앞으로 제가 업로드할 영상을 보실 수 있도록 구독과 좋아요 부탁드려요. I'm going to keep on posting these videos every 2 weeks, so please keep coming back if you've liked what you've seen here so far. I will see you next time. 안녕히 계세요. 나중에 봐요.